Good morning, good day, good afternoon, and good evening. Once again, this is Darlito Bernard Delizo welcoming you back to this subject, Law Enforcement Organization and Administration. And for this particular video, the topic is focused on the functions and organization of the Bureau of Customs insofar as law enforcement is concerned in the Philippines. So to start with, at the end of this lecture, the viewers and the learners are expected to be able to explain the functions of the Bureau of Customs as well as to trace the development of the Bureau of Customs in the Philippines and to describe the organization of the Bureau of Customs. Going back to the history of the Philippines during the pre-colonial time when the Eastern and Western colonizers have not yet arrived the country, ay meron ng mga trading na nangyayari with the different Southeast Asian countries through the barter system of commodities. In other words, wala pang pera noong panahon na yan. At ang ginagawa noon, yung mga leaders ng mga barangays or mga malapit sa mga shorelines, sa mga dato, ay nire-require yung mga nagbebenta, okay, galing from different islands of the country as well as the different countries surrounding the Philippines, ay nagre-require yung mga datos na magbigay ng tribute yung mga business or mga traders before they are allowed to sell or to trade their we call it products dito sa ating bansa, no? So ganon ang practice nung unang panahon until the time that the Spanish came to the country. So when the Spanish came to the country, the Spanish colonizers came up with the Spanish customs law. Again, if we go back to the historical background of law enforcement, kay importante yung taxation. Kasi yung taxation na yan, doon kukunin ng isang gobyerno yung kanyang fund so that the government can provide for the services of the people. So when the Spanish came to the country, well, definitely, kailangan nila ng mga taxes. So ngayon, para ma-formalize, nagkaroon ng tinatawag na Spanish Customs Law, okay, which is similar to all the other colonies of the Spanish, from 1582 to roughly 1828. So something like it was a concept of ad valorem levied on import and export. Ano yung ad valorem na tinatawag natin or ad valorem tax na tinatawag natin? Ito yung pagbibigay mo ng or papatong mo ng additional mula dun sa kanyang original na value. Today ay more or less nasa 10% or more than that. Depende sa mga import products. Okay, so pag sinabing tariff board, ito yung nagde-determine kung magkano at ano yung mga papatawan ng taxes na mga imported at saka exported products during the time. And accordingly, 10% yung standard na ad valorem duty, meaning yung additional cost na 10%. Kung 100 pesos yung amount ng commodity, then maging 110 pesos. So more or less the same with what we have in our time today. So another tariff law was introduced in 1891, which established the specific duties on all imports and on certain exports, and this lasted till the end of the Spanish rule in the Philippines. Okay, so may mga pagbabago kasi nga kailangan talaga ng taxes ng isang bansa para tawag natin mabuhay yung kanilang mga serbisyo sa taong bayan. Now, when the Americans ay dumating naman dito sa ating bansa, of course, they established the military government. And while the military government was we call it the governing body of the country. So they continued to enforce the Spanish Tariff Code of 1891, which remained in effect until the Philippine Commission enacted the Tariff Revision Law of 1901, when the civilian government of the Americans was already established in the country. So, nagkaroon sila ng tariff revision law, meaning ito yung mga taxes na mga incoming at mga outgoing products dito sa Pilipinas. And of course, on October 24, 1900, the Philippine Commission passed Act number 33. It abolished now and changed the position of the captain of the port to collector of customs in all ports of entry except the port of Manila. And the designation of the captain of the port in the port of Manila was retained. Okay, so lahat na ng mga entrada sa Pilipinas ay nilagyan nila ng mga tawag natin mga collector of customs, collector na mga products na coming in and out of the country. Then later on, okay, in 1902 there was again another tariff revision law, because according to the Americans, the laws of Spain were not as comprehensive as the American custom laws to conform with existing conditions of the country. So sabi nila kulang yan, hindi kaya ng yung tariff code ng Spain. So i-adapt natin yung American customs laws, sabi ng mga Amerikano, para ma-answer niya yung problem dito sa Pilipinas, kasi nga ano nga ba yung characteristics ng bansa, consists of islands, and of course ano yung mga products nito. And further, in February 6, 1902, the Philippine Administrative Act number 355 was passed by the Philippine Commission, and it was called the Customs Service Act number 355, called the Philippine Customs Service Act, okay, to amend the previous laws. And after several modifications and amendments, the Philippine Customs Service finally became a practical counterpart of the American Customs Service. Okay? So more or less parang more or less totally adapted na niya yung American Customs Service insofar as collection of taxes, regulation of commodities that are coming in and out of the Philippine islands. And further, Act number 357 reorganized the Philippine Customs Service just after a few years or few months, and officially designated the insular collector of customs as the collector of customs for the Port of Manila. Meaning yung national ay ginawa siya na collector of customs for the Port of Manila, kasi yung Manila, yan kasi ang pinakasentro ng mga products coming in and out, okay, from the country and to the other countries, okay, near or far the country. And Act number 625 abolished now the captain of the port for the Port of Manila. And again, Public Act number 430 transformed the Philippine Customs Service to a Bureau of Customs and Immigration. So, ginawa nilang Bureau of Customs and Immigration. And remember, in our discussions under the Bureau of Immigration, magkasama kasi palagi yan. Dahil nga nung unang panahon ay karamihan yan kapag dumating ang mga o foreign nationals, may dala-dala na silang mga products nila at palabas din sila ng bansa, may dala ring product yung mga Filipino or mga outgoing foreign nationals. And as we mentioned in the previous lecture, na ang pinaka-mode of transportation that time was by ship travel. So more or less makokontrol nila. Unlike today, na pwedeng by land yung pupunta sa Visayas na iba, at by air yung iba, kaya medyo mas mahirap sa ating panahon. But during that time, it was just appropriate na magkasama ang Bureau of Customs and Immigration, since ang pinaka-common mode of traveling that time was via the sea, under the control of the Department of Finance and Justice. So take note, magkaparehas nun or magkasama nun ang Department of Finance and Justice. So further, the Commonwealth government, starting from 1935, So they have the Commonwealth Act number 613. They form now the Bureau of Immigration as a separate from the Bureau of Customs. So nag-separate na sila. And after the World War, on May 1, 1947, the Bureau of Customs has its head, the Insular Collector of Customs. Yung pinaka-head ng Bureau of Customs, ang tawag sa kanya noon ay Insular Collector of Customs, or meaning yung insular is inational. And Executive Order number 94 of Republic Act number 52, okay, the President of the Philippines reorganized the government. Again, after 1946, nung mag-gain ng Pilipinas ang independence niya sa Amerika, as I've mentioned in the previous lecture, na ang mga presidente ay nagre-reorganize ng bansa, particularly kapag may pagbabago ng mga constitution. And part of the reorganization was that the Insular Collector of Customs was changed to Collector of Customs for the Port of Manila again. Okay, so pabago-bago yung mga batas nila. So dahil nga habang tumatagal, nagkakaroon ng mga ibang mode of transportation at nagkakaroon ng iba't ibang mga tariff agreement ng mga countries. So definitely, kailangan talaga na ma-reorganize din yung Bureau of Customs dito sa Pilipinas to answer the demand of the international trades. And in 1957, the Tariff and Customs Code of the Philippines, known as the Republic Act number 1937, also known as the Traffic Law of the Republic of the Philippines, okay, on July 1, 1957. And the passage of this act by the defunct Congress of the Philippines, subject to the provisions of the Laurel-Langley Agreement of, uh, we call it America and the Philippines, became the first official expression of an autonomous Philippine tariff policy. Meaning, ay kumbaga, ay somehow yung ating Philippine tariff system ay more or less hindi na siya dependent sa tariff system ng Amerika. But before the passage of RA 1937, all importations from the US enjoyed full exemptions pursuant to the Tariff Act number 1902, which was adopted by Republic Act number 3 as the tariff laws of the Philippines. Meaning, nung bago yung tariff law of the Republic of the Philippines, ay lahat ng mga tawag natin importations coming from America ay walang taxes actually. Mababa yung tax. Actually, 1960s, 70s, and 80s ay mababa ang taxes ng mga galing sa Amerika. Kaya noon, pag nandito ka sa Pilipinas, mura yung mga tawag natin, mga US import na mga products. And of course today, para matulungan din yung mga OFWs, meron tayong tinatawag na mga import products dun sa mga airports na kung saan ay mga free yung mga taxes noon. Okay? So, yun ang more or less na pagkakaroon ng mga changes sa Bureau of Customs in the country from the time of the Spanish up to the time of the Americans and after the World War II. Further, during the time of President Marcos, he came up again with further reorganization of the Bureau of Customs. Okay? And they have the Presidential Decree number 1, Presidential Decree number 69 in 1975, the Tariff and Customs Code by virtue of Presidential Decree number 1464 of in June 11, 1978. And then there was again another revisions by virtue of Executive Order number 688, okay, called as the Tariff and Customs Code of 1982. Okay, so yun ang napakaraming mga changes kasi nga nagbabago yung world trade, no? Mayroon ng World Trade Organization, no? Nagbabago yung mga batas sa bawat mga bansa, sa bawat mga treaties na mga international organizations of countries. So kailangan kumbaga hahabol ang Pilipinas doon sa mga collection and enforcement of taxes on import and export products. And finally, the last major reorganization was through the Executive Order number 127 of President Cory Aquino after the EDSA Revolution. Now today, what are the mandates or what is the mandate of the Bureau of Customs under the Department of Finance? Under the Republic Act 1937, the traffic law of the Republic of the Philippines, which is more or less adopted until Republic Act 10863, which amended the RA 1937, the Customs Modernization and Tariff Act or the CMTA. So more or less, yun ang mandate nila, i-enforce yung Republic Act 1937 as amended by RA 10863. And the department, as mentioned earlier, is an attached agency of the Department of Finance, charged with the assessing and collecting customs revenues. Okay, so pag sinabing assessing and collecting, titingnan nila yung mga product, magkano dapat ang amount niyan at magkano dapat ang kanyang tax. And then of course ay curbing illicit trade, meaning ano yung mga illegal na mga importations at mga exportations. And all forms of customs fraud, meaning yung mga panuloko sa pagpasok at paglabas ng mga products, and to facilitate trades through an efficient and effective customs management system. Well, again, kapag hindi maganda ang tariff laws natin at hindi magandang enforcement niyan, ay malulugi ang Pilipinas. At the same time, marami rin ang mga madi-discourage na mga magpapasok ng export products or maglalabas ng import products sa country. So somehow, the Bureau of Customs is the agency primarily tasked for that purpose. And what are the functions of the Bureau of Customs? Ano yung kanyang general functions? Okay, these are now the specific functions of the Bureau of Customs. To assess and collect customs revenues from imported goods. To assess and collect custom revenues from imported goods. So I mentioned that already. How? Simplify and harmonize customs procedures para hindi siya masyadong complicated, kasi pag complicated yan, again, yung mga businesses madi-discourage yan. Then there must be a border control to prevent entry of smuggled goods, because yung mga smuggled goods na yan, siyang papatay ngayon sa mga local products. Prevent and suppress smuggling and other customs frauds in relation to number 3, and facilitate and secure international trade. So sila ngayon ang magpapacilitate kung mayroong mga international trade at magsisecure din sa mga pagpasok at paglabas ng mga international products. So what else? Ano pa mga specific functions ng Bureau of Customs? So they supervise and control the entrance and clearance of vessels and aircraft engaged in foreign commerce. So kapag yung mga halos lahat naman yan halos lahat naman ng mga air and sea vessels natin ay involved yan sa commerce, or meaning sa trading or sa trading ng mga products. So somehow andon ang Bureau of Customs para ma-supervise at ma-control, magbigay ng clearance kung ano yung papasok na labas sa ating bansa, and to supervise and control the handling of foreign mails arriving in the Philippines. Okay, and then when you say foreign mails, ito yung mga sulat, mga parcels, no? Baka may mga lamang contraband yan. And then to supervise and control the import and export of cargos, yung mga malalaking mga kargamento. Okay, mga container trucks, mga container vans. Okay? So tinitignan yan, silang nagsusupervise at nagko-control sa paglabas at pagpasok sa ating bansa. And what are the other functions of the Bureau of Customs? Well, to conduct a compensation study to develop a competitive compensation and remuneration system in the Bureau. Meaning para ma-modernize, ma-reorganize yung Bureau of Customs para maiwasan at mabawasan ang corruption. As I've mentioned in the previous video, na the Bureau of Immigration, the Bureau of Customs, and other government or law enforcement agencies in the country, normally ang entry level niyan is salary grade 11, mababa yan. Nasa 22,000 lamang yan, and if you're staying in an urbanized area, and if you're renting, kulang talaga yan. Kaya minsan nagkakaroon, at hindi lang minsan, talagang nag-focus yun ng corruption doon sa mga immigration at saka sa customs collection natin kasi walang choice, no? Kaya minsan naging ineffective yung enforcement. And to exercise exclusive original jurisdiction over forfeiture cases. Pag na-forfeit yung mga or say for example yung mga export or import na under quasi judicial hearing is nasa kanila ang exclusive original jurisdiction, meaning sila ang magta-trial nito kung mapoporfeit yung mga products na galing sa ibang bansa in favor of the government, and to enforce the comprehensive modernization or the Customs Modernization Tariff Act and all other laws, rules, and regulations relating to customs administration. Okay, so those are the specific functions of the Bureau of Customs. So, what are the offices in the Bureau of Customs? Well, it is headed by the Customs Commissioner, formerly known as the Insular Customs Collector. Okay, so and he is assisted by 7 deputy commissioners and 17 district collectors. So the first deputy commissioner is the Internal Administration Group, who heads the International Administration Group. And this group assists the commissioner in the formulation of policies and in the setting up of objectives relative to financial, administrative, personnel, planning, and management improvement services of the BOC. And they represent the commissioner in meetings and conferences, sign memorandum, circulars, and reviews, official communication, and documents relevant to internal administration. So, ito yung sa loob niyan, administrative staff ito. Okay? So, we have also the Revenue Collection Monitoring Group. Okay, again, headed by a deputy commissioner. This group maintains an accounting of revenues collected. So, ilan yung mga revenues, mga taxes, mga tariff na collect. And then, they administer the legal requirements of the Bureau of Customs, and they provide information and analysis of collection statistics and audits, liquidated entries, and bans. Meaning, lahat ng mga patungkol sa revenues na nakokolekta, okay, giving reports, statistics, and like that, at saan pumunta yung mga collected na yan, that is now the responsibility of the Revenue Collection Monitoring Group. Then, we have the Assessment and Operations Coordination Group, again, headed by a Deputy Commissioner. They gathers and publishes values of commodities imported into the country and monitors implementation of rules and regulations governing assessment and processing of goods for exports, warehousing and support operations, and auction and disposal activities. Ano yan? Okay, so sila ngayon ang maggagather at magpapublish kung ano yung mga value na mga nanggagaling sa ibang bansa. And then sila ang nag-implement o nagmo-monitor sa implementation ng rules and regulation. Sila rin ang nagpa-process ng mga goods or commodities na lalabas sa bansa at doon sa mga warehousing nila, no? At the same time, ito yung mga nagpa-facilitate ng mga yung auction. Ano yung auction, ano? Ito yung nagbibidding sila pag bibili ka ng kotse sa Port of Irene or sa Subic, magbibidding yan. You start from 50,000, say for example, hanggang yung highest bidder. Pag wala nang nagbid higher than your bidding, ikaw ang panalo. So ang Bureau of Customs, through the Assessment and Operations Coordination Group, yun ang tinatawag nating in charge sa mga activities na yan or operations na yan ng Bureau of Customs. Then you have the intelligence group. Well, they gather intelligence information related to customs and economic activities, meaning sila yung mga tawag natin, just like in the PNP, mga pre-active yan or proactive bago pa man makumit yung crime, ay sila na yung mga nag-gather ng information and nagkakandak ng internal inquiry and investigation whether may mga tawag natin, may mga activities of corruption inside the organization or whether there are attempt to smuggle, okay, or smuggle good items, smuggled out or smuggled in items, and sila rin ang mga nag-gather din ng information ng mga probabilities ng panluloko sa Bureau of Customs. So we have the information group. It exercises police authority, okay, from the word itself, enforcement. That is to secure the country's ports and BOC installations. So sila ngayon yung mga nagbabantay, okay, mga sentinel. At the same time, sila rin yung nagpo-protect ng cargos and properties inside the customs zone. So yan yung mga naka-uniforme. Okay, mga customs police ang tawag natin diyan. Kumbaga sa immigration officer, sila naman ay customs police. And then the Management Information System and Technology Group. Now, with the advent of information and technology, and somehow yung mga trading all over the world ay dumadaan na yan sa information technology or sa computerization. So kailangan magkaroon ng isang division for that purpose. So it was created in January 9, 1998 under Executive Order 463 to support the aim of the Bureau of Customs to assume direct management and control of IT facilities and services after the conclusion of the Transitional Facilities Management Arrangement under the PTCP contract. So, naka-under PTCP contract kasi dati, no? Ngayon, with the creation, in other words, yung PTCP contract na ngayon, mga outsource mga yan, meaning labas ng BOC yan. Ngayon, sabi nila, mas maganda, internal na. So, na-create yung Management Information System and Technology Group para sila na makakontrol sa mga communication via the IT or the computerization technology. Then finally, they have the Post-Clearance Audit Group, reactivated by Customs Memorandum Order number 3227, formerly the Post-Entry Audit Group, created in 2003, and it was tasked to perform post-clearance audit work. In 2013, the functions of the PIAG was transferred to the Department of Finance until PRRD signed Executive Order number 46 on October 2017, returning the post-clearance audit functioning to the BOC. Ano yan? Post-clearance, meaning after na na-cleared na, nakalabas na or palabas na, okay, yung mga products or nakapasok na, so somehow magkakaroon ng auditing again. After the clearance, mag-audit ulit yan. Kung tama yung lalabas at tama yung nakalagay sa clearance. So, yun ang tinatawag natin yan na post-clearance. Okay? So, yun yung mga iba't ibang major divisions or major offices in the Bureau of Customs. What about the collecting district or the district collectors? The collection district, headed by a district collector of customs, they collect duties, taxes, and other charges accruing to the government para sa gobyerno, exercises police powers, supervises the entrance and clearance of vessels engaged in commerce, supervises and controls handling of foreign mail, and supervises all import and export cargos and freight stations. So, sa South Harbor, sa NAIA, doon sa Cebu, sa Davao, sa Clark, okay? Sa lahat ng mga international ports ng bansa ay may mga nakatalagang collection district so that mabayaran yung ano yung para sa gobyerno. Overall, this is the organizational structure of the Bureau of Customs. Okay, just a bird's eye view on that. If you would like to learn further, you may visit the website of the Bureau of Customs. By the way, most of the content of this lecture were taken from the website of the Bureau of Customs. So, additional notes. What is the jurisdiction of the Bureau of Customs? Well, under Section 300 of Republic Act 10863, for the effective implementation of this law, the Bureau shall exercise jurisdiction over all seas within Philippine territory and all coasts, ports, airports, harbors, bays, rivers, and inland waters, whether navigable or not, from the sea and any means of conveyance. Meaning, lahat, okay, na pwedeng pasukan at labasan ng mga products sa Pilipinas. And of course, nandun kasama nila ang PNP Maritime Group, ang PNP Aviation Group, kasama nila ang EFP, at kasama rin doon ang Philippine Coast Guard. Kasi hindi naman kaya lahat ng Bureau of Customs niyan. So somehow, sa enforcement ng mga ganyan ay nagtutulungan yung iba't ibang enforcement agencies sa Pilipinas. And who shall appoint the commissioner and deputy commissioner? Again, by virtue of Section 200 of Republic Act 10863, the commissioner and the deputy commissioners are appointed by the President of the Philippines. All the others are appointed by the commissioner or by the deputy commissioners. Then, what are the articles that are subject to duty and tax? Pag sinabi natin duty, ito yung mga dapat nilang bayaran, no, sa Pilipinas. All goods imported in the Philippines are subject to duty and tax upon importation, including goods previously exported from the Philippines, except as otherwise provided for in the Customs Modernization Tariff Act or in other laws. Kahit yung mga galing sa Pilipinas, pag bumalik sa Pilipinas yan, titignan nila, tataksan nila yan. Okay, so halos lahat yan. Of course, mayroong mga natawag nating mga values niya, no? Although sinabing all goods, may mga limit din yan. Say for example, mga handy items, mga portable items, so pwede yan. Say for example, pumunta ka ng Hong Kong, bumili ka ng laptop doon. By the way, mura ang laptop sa Hong Kong and even sa Singapore, mura doon. Siguro half the price sa Pilipinas. Say ang laptop ay mag-focus ng 50,000 sa Pilipinas, eh pupunta ka sa Hong Kong mga nasa less than 30,000. So ang ginagawa ng mga iba ay kunyari mamamasyal sila sa Hong Kong, so magkano lang pamasahe na, less than 10,000 pesos. So tapos ang gagastusin lang nila doon, sabi natin 10,000 din, ano? So gagawin na lang nila, punta sila sa Hong Kong, mamasyal doon, bibili ng laptop lang. Nakapasyal pa sila. Okay? So yung na na-discount nila, yun ang ginagamit na lang nila for their airfare at saka sa kanilang ginagastos na pagpunta sa mga ibang lugar. Okay? At kapag hand carry naman yan, hindi yan tinataksan doon sa airport. Then, how do we classify regulated or restricted or prohibited importations or exportation? So, nire-regulate din yan. Ibig sabihin yan, pag sinabing regulated, hindi yan basta-basta makakapasok. Dapat may clearance. Yung palabas at papasok sa ating bansa. Okay, so those regulated by the FDA, the Bureau of Drug and Administration, automatically that will also be regulated by the Bureau of Customs. Those regulated by the Bureau of Philippine Standards, automatically regulated din yan ng Bureau of Customs. Those regulated by the Bureau of Plant Industry and the Bureau of Animal Industry, which we are going to discuss that in the next video of this subject. Lahat ng mga regulated sa mga agencies na yan ay automatic regulated din yan at prohibited din yan doon sa Bureau of Customs. So kung ano yung mga nire-regulate at prohibit ng iba't ibang agencies ng mga products, automatically, ini-enforce yan ng Bureau of Customs pag dumaan yan sa mga ports natin. And regulated goods may be imported or exported only after securing clearances from the concerned government regulatory agency. So for example, may papasok na mga halaman or mga product sa bansang Pilipinas na mga tanim or mga halaman yan, at yan ay under the jurisdiction ng Bureau of Plant Industry, so sa kanila manggagaling yung clearance, ganon. Okay? So, the necessary permit or permits or clearances or licenses or any other requirements prior to the importation or exportation, as the case may be, should be, we call it, secured muna. Bago yan, papasukin ng Bureau of Customs. Hahanapin yan sa Customs, yung mga clearances kapag yan ay na-identify ng mga regulated, restricted, or prohibited importations or exportations. And what are these? Yan. So, have the processed products. Ano yung mga processed products na yan? Okay, yung mga under the, we call it under the regulation of the Food and Drug Administration. Yung mga pwedeng mga dilata, gano'n. Okay, so what else? Mga electric and household appliances. Okay, that is also for the Bureau of Philippine Standards. Sila naman ang regulating agency niyan. Alcoholic beverages, okay, yan din ay under the Food and Drug Administration and the Bureau of Internal Revenue for purposes of taxes. Then you have tobacco products, mga blue seal na tinatawag namin noon. That is also under the National Tobacco Administration and the Bureau of Internal Revenue for purposes of taxes. And whether yan ay mga safe. And then you have corded and cordless telephone sets, key telephone system, call distributors, and fax machines. That is under the National Telecommunications uh, Commission. So yan ang mga examples ng mga regulated products. Meaning, hindi basta-basta makakapasok yan, kundi yan kukuha ng mga clearances or permit or licenses, okay, from the concerned government agencies. Again, how they are classified. Okay, restricted imports or exports are goods which may be imported or exported only when authorized by law or regulation. As provided by the Customs Modernization Traffic Tariff Act, the following are restricted, yung nabanggit natin kanina doon. Of course, yung mga restricted dyan, yung mga illegal drugs, gano'n. Yung mga nakakasira sa kalikasan, nakakasira sa health, sa public safety, mga gano'n. Okay? And they are called as contrabands ang tawag natin. If by nature or unlawful to be imported or exported, no, pwedeng makasira ito sa ating kalikasan or health or pwedeng detrimental sa public safety and like that, no? Yan ay mga tinatawag natin mga restricted or prohibited. Ang tawag yan ay mga kontrabando. Okay, so that's all for the Bureau of Customs. And to close the lecture under this subject, what about the Bible? Ano naman ang sinasabi niya sa pagbabayad ng buwis? Kailangan bang mataksan, mabuwisan yung mga products natin? Okay, so sabi ng Bible in Romans chapter 13 verse 6 to 7, and it was also reiterated by Jesus Christ, by our Lord Jesus Christ in Matthew chapter 22 verse 7 to 21. So the Apostle Paul said, for because of this, you also pay taxes. Meaning, dinidiscuss ni Apostle Paul yung patungkol sa respect for authority. Kaya sabi niya, ang authority ay para sa control ng ating gobyerno para magkaroon ng katiwasayan at kapayapaan. Sabi niya, at sa ganon, you also pay taxes. For the authorities are ministers of God. Meaning, authorities are ordained by God. Therefore, pag nagbabayad tayo sa kanila, ay something like we also minister to God. Just like the Lord Jesus Christ when He was asked, sabi nila kung pwede bang magbayad ng tax yung mga Israelites sa Roma, ang sagot ni Jesus Christ, kumuha kayo ng isang pera at anong nakalagay dyan. So nakita nila yung picture ni Julius Caesar. So ang sabi niya, okay, give to Caesar what is due to Caesar and give to God what is due to God. So sinasabi niya na kailangan nyong magbayad ng tax doon sa government, sa authorities. At ganoon din, kailangan nyo rin magbigay ng offerings or tithes sa churches or sa temples, ano man ang tawag ninyo. So, further, the Apostle Paul said, pay to all what is owed to them. Taxes to whom taxes are owed, revenue to whom revenue is owed, and respect to whom respect is owed. Honor to whom honor is owed. So, sabi niya, magbayad kayo sa mga may collection sa inyo, may mga utang kayo, magbayad kayo, may mga taxes kayo, magbayad kayo, magbigay ng respeto sa dapat respetuhin, at magbigay galang sa dapat igalang. Yun ang salita ng banal na kasulatan. And of course, sa ating buhay, well, may mga personal obligations tayo, malamang to the government, or parents, or to the community, or to the school. Kaya dapat din magbayad kayo ng tuition fee kasi hindi naman mag-materialize yung objectives ng school kapag di naman kayo nagbabayad ng tuition fee. Okay, with that, thank you once again for listening and watching. If you have not subscribed yet, you are requested to click the subscription button and the notification bell. Once again, good day. God bless us all.